Welcome back to the channel. This is video number 2 of the radio installation on a Honda Fit 2008. In the first video, we went over the tools, parts, and some details about wiring and harness, so make sure you check that out. The first step to do the installation is to remove the plastic trim underneath the head unit. To do that, you remove the screw that is underneath the AC and heater controller, and after you remove that screw using one of the plastic trims tools that I mentioned before, basically you apply force on both sides of the trim, and that will remove the two clips that are underneath. It's basically one on the right, one on the left. The next step is to remove the 8mm screws that are basically underneath the head unit. For this, you need extension in order to reach where they are. I use a socket and a wrench. Basically, in the way I did it, I used a wrench to basically get the screws loose, and then just use the extension and the socket to remove both of the screws. It's a little bit hard and slow process, but basically pretty easy to do. After you get it loose, take that stuff out of the way, and then you will be good to go. The next step after that will be to remove the glove box, and in the way you do that is there are like two rubber pieces at the edge of the glove box. Basically, you push both edges of the glove box in, and that will release it. Basically will go all the way down, and then you will see two screws that basically allow you to pull the whole piece out of there. And as you can see here, like I'm basically doing it while I'm holding the camera, so using one hand I'm able to remove both of the screws. Pretty easy to do. One is pretty close to the center console. The other one is basically close to the edge of the dash, close to the door panel. After removing these two screws, the glove box basically will be loose, and you can take the whole piece out. That will give you space for what we need to do next. After that, basically what you see here are the cables that control the AC and heater unit underneath the radio. These have a metal cable that attaches to the plastic pieces that you can see here, this white part. This wire basically gets out of the plastic piece. If you push that white knob down, which is what keeps the wire in place, then you can pull that out. Make sure you remove this metal clip that you see holding the blue cable there. Make sure you remove those first so they don't fall out while you pull the cable. So you pull the cable out of there and then remove it from the white piece, so you avoid losing any of those clips. You will do the same for all three cables, the blue, the orange, and the purple. And that basically will get the cables out of there. You can see the other two there, same process. You can see that little white tab on it. So next, to remove the center head unit, basically you grab the head unit from the bottom part and pull towards you. So that will give you enough space to fit the trim tool in it. On the right side, you pull forward, you will hear the first clip going out. Same process on the left side. You pull towards you, get the trim piece there, pull, you will hear that one going out. After those two clips are out, basically you just hold the unit from the bottom again and pull towards you. That will get out the rest of the clips on the top part of it. After that, we just have to remove the plugs that come out of the harness. The three on the top go to the radio, and then you have the rest of the harness that basically plugs into the same unit, but those are for like the AC and heater controller. After removing those two on the top, then the third one, the knob that allows you to remove it is actually on the side. You can see it here. Just push in, pull it out. Then the ones in the bottom of the head unit, I recommend you to pull those out before you get the unit away from the dash. It's basically no room in the harness for you to have it like away from the dash. So pull those out first, and then you can pull the head unit towards you. Pull the ones on the top, and then you have two more to remove. You have this one here on the right side. Same process, just like a little tab that you push in, and then you can pull the connector out. And then on your left, same process. There's another one. The only difference is like this one is attached to the metal frame by a plastic clip. You need to remove that one as well in order to take the harness away from the unit. So after you pull that plastic clip out of it, the unit is basically free. And after that, you just have to make sure you pull the cables that we disconnect before. Obviously, it takes me a little bit more of effort just because I'm filming and trying to pull the unit at the same time. Pretty easy to do. Just make sure that the three cables basically clear everything inside the dash, and that will basically get you the whole head unit out of the way. So after those three cables are out, you can put the head unit away, and the next step is to remove the AC and heater controller from the head unit. Those screws basically have screws all the way around. You can see here, pretty easy to see. They are like all the way at the edge of the unit, all the way around. And basically you need to remove that whole unit and attach it to the new center console. Now, in order to remove the one on the side, you need to remove the two connectors that are also going on the new head unit. In the way you do it, it's basically using the trim removal piece that will give you the leverage in order to remove it. So basically, in the way you do it is you use the trim piece to make pressure on the clip that is in between the frame and the actual connector. Your fingers are not going to fit there. And then push in on the other side. And while you do that, basically push the connector out. That will get both of the connectors out of the way. One of them is the passenger airbag, and then the other one is like the AC and heater controller. Now this here is the basically the harness that I explained before in the previous video, and the one that comes with the head unit or the radio. These are the connectors that I use, also explained in the previous video. Pretty easy to use. Basically, you get the two wires together. You put the bottom part, you put the wires through the bottom part, and then you just basically screw the top that holds the wire. Pretty secure, pretty easy. In this one, you can see there's a little bit of a difference in the size of the wire that is on cover. So basically I cut it just to make it the same. It's just something that I like to do when I'm dealing with wires. And basically I apply that to every single splice that I did. I'm not showing every single one. In the previous video I went over what the wires are and what the colors are and the meaning of the colors. You can watch that there, and then you will know which one is it. It's pretty easy to work, especially if you get that connector that basically attaches in the head unit and the harness coming out of the car. This here is basically how it looks. They all gonna be like that after it's connected. So now now that all the wires are connected, we're gonna go over the whole harness, the connection, and some of the other parts that I use. So as you can see here, that gray square that you see on the top, that's the connector that I bought that connects to the harness coming out of the car. And those are the wires basically that match the other connector that you can see there, connected to the radio. The ones that I'm not using, basically I left it cover, and I will put that away like after the whole harness is ready. In order to put that in, I will use cloth tape to wrap everything around. That's a closer view of the connectors I use to do the splice of the harnesses. Here you can see the match of the wires. They're basically the same. It's like a straight connection into one into the other. And the one that you see on the right side, that is another adapter that I bought. That's for the antenna, which I'll explain that one too. Like I said, there are some wires that I'm not using, and those are the ones that you see there that are not connected to anything. I'll just put those away. This here is the power antenna adapter. There's also another piece that I bought. So that connects to the power antenna that was connected to the head unit previously. So you have the blue wire that comes out of the connector and goes to the power antenna connector coming out of the head unit. Same thing, just splice, connected together. And then the black wire that you see there is the actual connector for the antenna that goes into the radio. This down here that you see with the black electrical tape, basically it's just in the way that I took those away, put it away while I was putting together all the wires and splicing everything. So just to keep it out of the way, Those are basically for the rear camera, parking brake, different cables, different functions that you can use that the radio offer, but I'm not using at this time, so I just put them away. At the time of like putting the whole unit back into the dash, I'm just like covering everything with a cloth tape just to make it look better and reduce the size of the harness going into the dash, so there's nothing in the middle of the way. The other part of the connections that I made is on the left side of the radio. So you can see here, those are the camera inputs coming to the radio. I'm not, like I said, I'm not using those. The other one, this one here, is the connector for the microphone, which you will see in a minute. So this unit uses a microphone for the hands-free functions. It's actually a microphone that is outside of the unit that you place in a different, like in any place that you will like, I guess. What I did was I drew a hole in the little storage bin that goes underneath the head unit, pull the connector through, the cable through, after I plugged it into the unit, the one that comes out of the radio. Pull it through the hole, and that will give me access to put the microphone inside that storage bin, so it's not going to be anywhere in the middle of the way or showing any wires, which is basically the main idea on some of the stuff that you will see that I use to install the radios. Basically to use the functions that I liked, but without creating any connections that are visible. These two cables are the two USB connections coming out of the radio. So basically it's two USBs that you get out of the radio, basically like a long cable. I've seen people putting those cables everywhere in the glove box. They modify the center console to fit them. What I did is I run the two wires through the dash and pull them out on the left side of the dash. This is a kit that I bought. Basically you can connect the two USBs to a trim cap that basically fits the Honda dash. So basically that will give me connection of the two USBs without having to modify anything in the dash or breaking or doing anything to the dash itself. And it will give me access to the two connectors for charging or for the connection to the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. That's basically another thing that I wanted to do, to not have any wires or anything in the middle of the way. That was like my main thing with this. This connector here is another connector that comes out of the main harness, this part of the car. This one does not go anywhere, it doesn't attach to anything, so I'm just covering that one and putting it away when I put the whole harness out. Now if you look at the front of the head unit, this is basically how it looks. Like I said, the radio is a single DIN, even though it's like a bigger screen. That wire that you see there is the one for the microphone that I mentioned before. At this point, all the connectors, everything is in place. And like I said, so this wire here is for the microphone. Basically the idea, this is the microphone. I'm just gonna put it like on the side, attached to the side, like the wall of the storage bin on the bottom of the radio. And then I will bringing the cable so it's out of the way and tucked into the dash with the rest of the harness. And like I said, that will give me like a clean image. And everything else that is part of the dash, like everything looks OEM, let's say. Now, to put back the head unit, make sure all the clips around the head unit are in place. This head unit that I bought came with all the metal clips. I've seen other videos where they mention to make sure like you move those clips from the old unit to the new one. I don't know if it's because those are old, but this one had everything. And then reverse process to put the unit back in. You have the screws that go in a 45-degree angle. You have the two that hold the glove box, and that will basically give you the whole connection. While I was doing the installation, I remember that I had the red hazard light switch. So basically, I decided to do that as well, because you need the access through the main unit. Basically, that's the only way where you can pull that connector out. It has a connector, a knob on the top and the bottom. In order to do it, basically you, through the hole that you have there for the head unit, you push in the bottom knob, and then you pull the connector a little bit downward, so that will free the one on the top. You don't have access to any of that while the connector is inside the dash. So that's basically in the way I did it. And to remove the harness connector is just to push that little knob on the side like any other of the connectors that we used before. And after that is in place, basically is good to go. You just have to push it back in, it will clip in, and that's it. Now, going back to putting back everything together, the last step is to put the two screws that hold the glove box back in place. Those are those two there. Just screw those in, and after they are in place, then you need to push the glove box up to that like holding position that we had before. And the way you do it, same thing, reverse process. You push in both of the walls. That rubber piece is the one that keeps the glove box in place when you open it. So you push both in, and then you push the glove box up. It will get back in place. As you can see here, it's holding, that's the right position, and then after that is good to go. So to go over the whole dash, make sure everything is in place. I didn't mention it before, but make sure you test the radio and everything before you push the center console in, so the hit unit and everything, like you have access to everything in case that anything fails. Make sure you test everything. This is basically how the radio looks. I'm not gonna go over functions or anything like that. Like I said, there are a lot of reviews about that. I will say though, like the radio has something that I like, which is that you can position the screen different ways to fit your needs. Like for example, height. Not everybody has the same angle view while sitting in the car. So I thought that's something that it's pretty cool. From this angle, it actually looks like bigger than what actually is. So basically, this is like a better angle. This is what how it actually looks when you're looking at the radio. So it goes from the bottom part there to that bottom part of the air vents, so it doesn't cover or get in the middle of the way on anything in the dash. It's actually like the perfect size if you're looking for one of those radios. I think they come in like 7 inches, 9 inches, which is this one, and 10 inches. Thank you very much for watching the video. Thank you to all the ones that have reached out and asked questions. If there's anything else that you would like to see in this project, please reach out, let me know. There are a lot of more parts and videos that I'm gonna make, and I appreciate the feedback. Thank you very much for coming back. I appreciate your support.